Okay, good evening, leaders. I trust you can hear me well. Dominic, how are you? Can do a check with Dominic. Or David Okello. Okello, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Joseph. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you so much. I trust the rest can also be able to hear me well. Maybe you can give me thumbs up just to give me an indication that we are communicating and be able to connect well. Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, Albert. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Paul. Good, so I think we are good and we're able to communicate well, and therefore I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you again as we continue with this discussion, as we continue to engage on these Saturdays. I'm sure our Saturdays evening are becoming more of transformational opportunities where we're able to sit together, share from the collective wisdom that is present here, as you also continue to learn from the materials that are available. So I just want to appreciate all of you for keeping it up. And as we continue, in the beginning, I said 12 weeks, they fly. And today we are tackling lesson 5 and 6. So we'll be almost be through with stage 1 by next week. And I just want to request that we start by a word of prayer, and then we'll jump straight to our discussions. Today we also have a guest facilitator who will be taking us through lesson 6. So there's quite a lot that is on the table. And therefore, let's just believe together, say a word of prayer, and then jump into our discussion. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this opportunity. And as leaders, we trust in you, and we continue to pray that even this evening, as we continue with these discussions, as we continue to engage and walk through this journey of leadership, how to better our leadership, how to reflect more in terms of the qualities that brings your model of leadership to wherever we are serving. This night, we are praying that our discussions will be influenced by you, oh God, by your principles, by the word of God, and I will be able to experience an inner transformation. And at the end of it all, may you receive glory and honor. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So probably we can just share briefly on our reflection over the week so that we are able to see where we are and how we are faring on in terms of our weekly submissions. I know our trays are always full. This is what I always say for leaders. Our trays are always full, but somehow, because we are leaders, we always manage to be able to balance through. So I'm sure even as we continue to discuss tonight, we'll be able to share how our experience has been over the week. And as we do that, I'll start by sharing a few of the comments that came up from the weekly self-evaluation. I just want to sample a few of them. So this is what came from your submission, especially on the comments. Yeah, so someone said that leaders are very key because they provide solution other than managers who maintain the status quo. I think this is related to the lesson that we're going to discuss today, the complementary roles of managers and leaders. And then someone else said The Pareto Rule is so real in our daily lives. Yeah, you remember the Pareto Rule, the 80-20 rule that we discussed last time, where we were talking about the vital few, identifying our 20% and focusing our energy and strength there. Again, someone else said that learning a lot so far. This is my first opportunity I've gotten to learn on leadership, good facilitation. Yeah, I'm happy to note that someone is getting into such kind of a discussion, probably for the first time, especially on issues of leadership. And this is good, and we're happy to note this. Yeah, I can see, Dominic, I can see your hand is raised. I hope we are able to communicate well. Okay, so let's maybe share on the chat. Just send a message on the chat. I'll be able to reply, Dominic. Yeah, and then someone else said the program is the best for this nation. That's a comment from another participant. One does not just become a leader through promotion. Yeah, leaders have to lead from front. And also this person continues to say that you have to own the vision of the organization that you are working for and protect their interests as a leader. Again, you have to feel the people that you are leading, such that you know and understand what they are going through. This is what we call emotional intelligence, just to be able to align yourself with the people that you are leading. So these are some of the comments that came up through your submission. We normally look at them and just to be able to see what we can be able to share with the rest of the team. And before we get into the session, I had identified one of us who can just share an experience from the weekly submission. I was able to go through her submission, and I felt probably this is something that we can also share with other leaders today. And therefore, Margaret, if you are ready, maybe you can just share your experience and also something from your submission on the weekly evaluation.
Okay. Thank you. Just I'm very sorry we are in darkness. Yes. So
Sorry, Margaret, we seem to have
something's wrong.
We seem to have a challenge with your network, Margaret. Hello, Margaret.
So
check your network connections.
Hello, Margaret. We seem to have a challenge with your network. Yeah, let me just send her a message. Hello, Margaret. Yeah, we seem to have a challenge with your network. Oh, yeah, I think that's why it was not stable. So let her reconnect back, and then we'll be able to listen from her. And as we do that, we can take one or two reflections on the book review, as we see if Margaret's network will stabilize. We just look at chapter 10.
Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Now we can hear you much better. Let's try it once more.
Yeah, I can try, because I had said we are in darkness, so okay. I'm using data, and you cannot also see me. So I hope I'll be able to communicate. Yeah, and if you are hearing me, then I'm fine. Oh, okay, thank you. So I'm saying that I was requested to share what I had done in our last week. And I will want to start with sharing the leadership skills and perspectives that are critical for success now and in the future. And what I thought about it is strategic planning. And the planning affects what is happening now, and also it focuses on what the leader anticipates to achieve in the future. So the leader, therefore, has to look at where they are now, that is current, where they desire to be, that is to get there. So for of the leader's strength of the institution, because the institution has definitely some strengths, and the institution has weaknesses. It has opportunities that are available, and also to look at the obstacles to reaching their goal. So this is what I had come up with, and incidentally, that is what we were learning this week. And so it is important for any leader to think in terms of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the obstacles. It's because the strength will kind of give them.
We seem to be losing Margaret again.
Here we can do it. The weaknesses will help also to see how can I improve this. So
okay, I think her network is not stable, so let's try as we continue. Otherwise, leaders, let me take maybe just two comments from the book review. Yeah, Margaret, thank you so much. I think we'll, let's try maybe a little bit later. We see if you indicated you're using bundles, probably the network might not be very stable, but we've been able to get quite a chunk of what you have shared. And I'll also be able to post on the WhatsApp what you shared with us so that we can be able to reflect it as leaders. But we appreciate for the comments. Thank you so much. So maybe let's look at chapter 10. We'll not look at chapter 15 because that will be part of the discussions that we're going to have tonight. I'll take maybe, let's just take sample three submissions from this week's chapter 10.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Margaret. Okay, so let's explore chapter 10. Chapter 10, what was the outstanding comments that we can share from this chapter? The title is Purpose-Driven Leaders are Transformation Agents. Purpose-driven leaders are transformation agents. So maybe just a comment that you can be able to share. Yes, I'll start with Dominic. Yeah, Dominic, you can unmute.
Let me unmute. Oh, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello. Yes, Ariel alone, I had a problem because you were not audible. I couldn't hear you, but right now I'm okay. So my comment is a transformational leader walk by faith and not by sight. Yani, he has a strong belief in whatever he wants to accomplish. That was my take.
Yeah, walks by faith. Thank you so much, Dominic. Let's take two more. Can take two more. Yeah, either through the chat or just unmute and mention. Okay, so leaders, the platform is still open. And probably as you think through, let's check on page 84. Hebrews 11 is an account of great transformational leaders. This is almost like the core of this book, and we're saying transformational leaders create things by faith, just as Dominic has mentioned. They walk by faith, not by sight. So Hebrews 11 gives an account of some of these leaders that were able to achieve much and impact humanity, basically because they were able to conceive things that probably others could not conceptualize at present time during their times, but they were able to go through some of the challenges and walk through to be able to lead the people that God entrusted to them. Again, we are saying they believe and walk towards uncertain visions. Sometimes the vision might not be clear, but they still walk through the journey and they usher themselves and others to new grounds. So they trade comfort for higher call, driven by purpose and passion, and they sacrifice their comfort for the sake of others. So these are some of the qualities of transformational leaders. And I think as we continue with this discussion, these are some of the issues that we are internalizing, reflecting, just taking stock of ourselves and looking at some of the areas that we need to enhance, build up, just to be able to attain some of these levels that we're discussing about some of these transformational leaders. Joshua, you're saying that attitude determines success or failure and is the master key for possibilities. Transformational leaders, they're quite positive because they try to look at issues from the lens of possibilities. It might be so dark, but they'll always try to look at the slightest light and then focus their energy there and their concentration so that they can be able to move the people forward. So let's continue sharing on the chat. As we continue, we'll be able to read through. For the interest of time, we just want to move on with our discussions tonight. As we move on to today's two lessons that we want to cover, that is lesson 5 and lesson 6. I'll take you through lesson 5, and then Reverend Beth Waweru will come on board. She will be able to take us through lesson 6. Otherwise, as we get to lesson 5, lesson 5 is about the 3 types of learning loops. 3 types of learning loops. So I'll unpack this as we go through, just to be able to understand, because we're still talking about self-awareness. So we look at, after the explanation, after discussing these 3 learning loops, probably all of us will reflect through and see which one is the dominant learning loop as we walk through. So as we start the discussion, there's a diagram there on the chart. Let's take maybe 30 seconds to look through and see how many squares we can see from this diagram. How many squares can we see? Yeah, David Oko, you're saying Jesus is the role model of a transformational leader. That's the reflection from the book review. So how many squares can we see? How many squares can you see from your side from this diagram here? Just post on the chat. You can share your answer on the chat. Yeah, Huko, you are saying 29. 29. Ongong, I don't know that name clearly. Maybe you can change the name of the device. You're saying 24. David Okello, 29. Oh, Bija, you're saying 24. Yeah, so we have 24 to 29. Maybe we can take three more. And we are looking at this from the lens of a leader. Paul, you are saying 26. Yeah, 26. All of us are looking from the same image, the same diagram, but our results are varying. Margaret, you're saying 31. So basically, if we look critically at this diagram, we'll be able to see 40. So Margaret, you are almost there. You are at 31, I think 31. Yeah, we had Joshua 33. So they are 40, but you can look at how we have unpacked it. And maybe if we look at this from the lens of leadership, looking at this exercise from the lens of leadership, what can we be able to pick out of this kind of a scenario, this kind of an exercise from the lens of leadership? What are we able to pick out? What can we pick out from this, looking at it from the lens of leadership? Maybe just to reflection. What can we pick from this kind of a scenario if we wear the lens of leadership? Yeah, and I think this one is okay if you can unmute and just share a comment. Yeah, and probably, maybe, if you allow me, David Ouko, please proceed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And I can say that as leaders, we normally see things differently. We are all different. We are wired differently as leaders. Different traits, different skills of leading people. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so see things from different angles, from different perspectives. Yeah, let me pick one more. If you're just ready, you can indicate by raising your hand, and then we'll be able to listen through. The chat is also open, so you can use any option. Yeah, let me see who is there. Maybe we can pick from one person. I don't know if I can nominate someone. Okay, we have David Okello. Thank you, David Okello. Please proceed.
Okay, good evening. What I would say is that we all have different ways of looking at things. And I would say that all these approaches are right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And I will just add to it that we have multiple perspectives and different experiences. So we need to realize that there's never just one right lens. To maximize our impact, we need to make a habit of consciously looking at someone or something through a different lens. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we seem to agree on this, because I can see Bernard Mwangi, you're saying leadership is going beyond what the eye can see, beyond imagination. Margaret, you're saying see things from different perspectives. So basically, this is just to help us appreciate the perspectives as we have brought it clearly, and two, the process. The process. For us to be able to get to 40, we had to unpack this one shape into different kind of setups. So process is key. Yeah, process is key. Two, we are talking about probably maybe if I can just mention patience. Yeah, patience can probably come out.
Unpack.
Let me see, Joshua, maybe you can unmute, please. So process, pattern, patience, perspectives. Probably those are some of the issues that come out, because sometimes there are patterns that we need to notice and what they are leading us to, so that we can be proactive in terms of the measures that we need to put in place. So, this is what is going to guide us in our discussions as we look at this lesson on learning loops. Because basically we'll look at these three types of learning loops. And these ones were discussed at Federal Health Futures Leadership Summit in Washington, DC metro region, that is 2012. So they came up with these three learning for transformational change types of loops that each leader manifests in one way or another. And the three categories of learning loops, we have single learning, which is it focuses on following the rules. So basically, a single learner will always tend to look at what is expected or what he or she is learning or is supposed to learn. So the single word for single loop learning is what? Following the rules. That's the simplest way that we can put this aspect of single loop learning. For double loop learning, if you're a double loop learner as a leader, then it will be more on graduating from just what I'm expected to do, but also getting into how am I expecting to do it, or how am I expecting to undertake the task. So it's about changing the rules. So the first one is about following the rules. The second is about changing the rules. And then triple loop learning is about learning how to learn. And during COVID, I think this has been one of the most important experience. Learning how to learn, learning how to be able to unpack issues on our feet, because we didn't have much time to think through, but we had to be making decisions on our feet. And so these are the three categories of learning loops. So the first one, triple learning loop, we focus on, triple learning loop focuses on why. Yeah, why? So we tend to get into the depth of the issues. Double loop tend to look at how. Yes, this is what I'm supposed to undertake, but how do we undertake the task? Again, for the single learning loop, this is what you're supposed to do. There's less questioning here. It's more of getting to understand the rules and following through the rules. So just to give you a more in-depth understanding of these examples or these three categories, for the single learning loop, the key is to do things better without necessarily examining or changing the underlying beliefs or even assumptions. So we really don't go to the root of the issues, but we're able to deal with, maybe this is what we can say dealing with the symptoms without dealing with the root cause. So it's about doing things better without necessarily getting into the root cause of the issues. Common language for single loop leader. Are we doing things right? That's the language of a single loop leader. Here is what to do. So it's a bit closed in terms of communication. Again, these are the procedures or rules. So it's more directive in terms of the communication language. How about double loop learners? For double loop learning, this kind of a leader, so we change the way we make decisions and deepen understanding of our assumptions. It's more of inquisitive. So we have stopped just looking at the symptoms, but we want to get a little bit deeper into the issues. Remember when we were unpacking those triangles, those squares. So we really want to, maybe we are seeing 20, but are they, is this all that is there? Can we be able to unpack more and see, follow through the rules and see if there is more that is hidden beneath the iceberg? So what is the common language for a double loop leader? A double loop leader, you will hear them having this kind of language. Are we doing the right things? So now the focus is not just doing things right, but the question is, are these the right things? Yeah, and B, here is how this works. So they get to now the focus shifts from just what, but to how things should be able to work. These are the insights and patterns. These are the insights and patterns. So they're getting into the insight. Yes, we have gone through this experience, but what are the insights? Yes, we succeeded. What are the insights? What are the patterns? We failed, but what are the insights and what are the patterns? Yeah. So remember, I said some of the lessons that we were picking from that exercise. It was patterns, it was process, and again, there are issues of perspectives. So for a double loop learner, patterns becomes key. They're more observant, more inquisitive, and they're able to now use the knowledge to be able to pick issues that are coming out from the experience. For the triple loop learning, the relationship between organization structure and behavior is fundamentally changed because the organization learns how to learn. So this is where now we start looking at issues of culture, start looking at issues of values and principles. So we get into the root of the organization, or the root of a person. So we have come from just looking at the surface, from the symptoms, but we are looking at what gives rise to the symptoms, what is the base of what we are seeing happening in day-to-day operations of an organization. So this is where now we get to the very deep of the issues. And the language here will be, how do we decide what is right? So even questioning ourselves, yeah, because the organization is learning how to learn. So how do we decide what is right? And here is why we want to be doing this. So the question of why becomes important. Again, these are the principles. These are the values. These are the underlying principles of these organizations. These are the values which gives the habit and the behavior that is being observed. So this is the language of a triple loop leader. So we are saying triple loop learning is transformational. It focuses on the context, more of transformational, gets to the root of the issues and tries to shape the base that is able to be manifested on the outside of the organization or even a person. For the double loop learning is concerned with reframing, so it focuses on structures. It's not as radical as triple loop learning, but it creates a sizable change in terms of restructuring. So maybe if we look at it from the principles of innovation, this is more of probably module, looks at the modules and try to reorganize the module. So it's more of restructuring. The single loop learning is reactionary. It focuses on actions, so it's reactionary. So this kind of a leader will be more reactionary rather than being proactive. But a triple loop leader will be more of a proactive leader. So those are the three types of learning loops. Just to bring it home, we can look at the common areas that we apply this. One of them is in what we refer to as problem-solving techniques. These are important when it comes to problem solving. Remember the triangle. If that was a problem we were dealing with, we needed to unpack it and see maybe all the causes possible. Yeah, all the possible causes of the problem that we are dealing with. And therefore, one of the areas we can apply this is problem solving. And I just discussed two techniques of problem solving, and then we try to marry with the learning loops. So one of them is what we call cause and effect, or the fishbone or Ishikawa. So it provides a tool to identify probably all the possible causes of a problem, not just the obvious ones. Yeah, remember the pattern. There is what was very obvious, and there is what was not really visible. So this technique seeks to locate the root of the problem from a systematic perspective rather than through personal blame. So systematic perspective. This is what I also said, the process. So more of a systematic process to be able to get to the root cause. So the root cause analysis will aim to answer the following questions, like what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen? What solutions can be developed? So this is what the root cause analysis will always seek to answer. What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? And what can be the possible solution? So just an example here of cause and effect for the fishbone. So you'll have the problem stated at the mouth of the fish there, and then we'll have the main cause, cause 1, cause 2, and then the sub causes. Practical example, just think of someone who has come late to work. Maybe the possible causes can be people, it can be machine, it can be environment. If a cause, the main cause is people, then maybe it can be children. Maybe a child got sick, or even the person was demotivated, or maybe the person was tired. So that is people related. How about machine? Maybe the alarm clock didn't ring on time, or there was the car broke down, or the train delayed, and so many other examples. So this will help us just to look not at the obvious problems, but to be able to look at the sub causes, which will be able to take us to the root cause. So we can think of so many other examples that can work with this. And this is good for leaders because I think as leaders, we really want to be dealing with the real issues. We want to be dealing with the real issues and to be able to answer the question of why properly before we can be able to make any judgment. Someone who may not get into these details may probably give a wrong judgment, or you may even judge someone wrongly. Yeah, you may even punish someone that needs attention, or punish someone who needs assistance. Yeah, because we didn't look at them or unpack them, the whole issue. The other one that I'll just highlight is the why, the 5 whys. So ask why 5 times. This is also another type of problem solving techniques. So basically before we decide or before we conclude, we need to look at the 5 whys. Define the problem. Why is it happening? Why is this? Why is this? Until we get to the root cause. Just using almost the same example or a different example. Someone has gone through or ran through a red light. So the first why will be, if you ask the first why, the person might say he or she was late for work. Then if you get to more whys, like the second why, maybe the person woke up late. Again, why did the person wake up late? You'll get another response. The alarm clock broke. Why again? The person did not check. Why again? The person forgot. Probably if you ask again why, maybe the person was stressed or something else might have happened. So this will be able to lead us to be able to get to the root cause of the issue. And therefore, this is important. Most likely a triple loop learner will be able to get to these levels. But for a single loop learner, they may not be able to get to this level. They may judge at the face. For a double loop learner, they may get to an extent of dealing with the issues or unpacking the issues, but again, not to the level that a triple loop learner will be able to get. And therefore, this gives us three kinds or three types of leaders, or three types of leaders based on this. Is what the first category we call the what leader. The what leader. So am I a what leader? If you are a what leader, this is the language. You'll be more reactionary. We look at just performing. You're more of task or role oriented or driven. Focus on doing things right, not necessarily what is right. Again, the issue here is more on following rules, more of static thinking. It's more of a manager. How about the how leader? They are more of reformative. They focus on strategizing. They're more of process driven. They want to look at the process, not just on the task. They focus on deciding how to do things right. They change the rules. They are normative or structured. Again, they are still more of a blend of a manager and a leader, but more of a manager. The Y leader is visionary, proactive, focus on purpose and visioning. Values are key, principles and culture, because those are what shapes the organization or shapes the leader. They're more of transformative. They're more of disruptive. They focus on deciding why to do things right, creating rules, disruptive, interruptive, dynamic, and also adaptive. And these are very, very strong when it comes to the qualities of leadership. And therefore, let's think through this kind of the learning loops, think through some of the problem-solving techniques that we have looked at, and think through some of the three categories that we have discussed: the what leader, the how leader, the why leader, and examine ourselves as leaders. So take stock of yourself, and if you are to look at your learning loops, how would you categorize it? Will you say you are a single loop learner? Are you a double loop learner, a triple loop learner, or even a mix? Because again, probably it might depend on the situations. So this will be the leadership challenge this week, just to take stock, reflect on the lesson again, and examine your own learning loops, and probably be able to come up with your status at the moment. And I think all of us, the aim should be to be the triple loop learner, because that is where the visionary leaders belong. People will want to probably disrupt the status quo in one way or another and be able to project us to a future and help us to ask questions that are helping us to be able to position ourselves as transformational leaders. So leaders, this is the engagement or the discussion on lesson 5. We are going to build on this as we get to lesson 6. It's more of a build-up of what we have discussed on lesson 5. But before I usher in Reverend Beth for lesson 6, let's take maybe 3 minutes just to be able to reflect on this discussion. And maybe we can also take your reaction on this. Maybe just 3 comments alone, only 3 comments on this. What can be your takeaway? What comment, what suggestion, what contribution can you share? If you want also to share your own, are you a triple loop, double loop, single loop? That's also okay. And again, that can be a build-up in terms of our discussion. So let me just open the floor for 3 comments. 3 comments, and that can also be your take home. Okay, David, I see your hand is raised. I don't know if it's now or it was previously raised, but if you want to make a comment, David, please unmute and share.
It was previously. previously.
Okay. Thank you, David. Let me start with Mr. Samuel Mwangi.
Thank you, Joseph, for that wonderful presentation. I just want to make one comment with respect to the three type of readers. And I think from where I see it, what you're basically saying is that the challenge, the team is to do a self-evaluation. And perhaps as you do your self-evaluation, it's something that perhaps would be very, very useful to help you to be able to really pin down where you belong. And this is trying to find out exactly the way you think. Do we have the way the environment, and I think the culture has been mentioned, the way you grew up to a large extent influences the way you behave. What I have in mind here is looking at your experiences, which may have programmed you to be behaving in a certain way, to program you to behave in a certain way. And therefore, if you must move to the next level, you must find out exactly what are those, who are these people who may have programmed you to be behaving in a certain manner that you don't interrogate. Sometimes you are just a yes. If you're given an assignment, you just do it as it is. And you need to, the assignment, I think, the trainer is talking about here is to break those chains. But to break them, you must discover exactly what are those, which are those chains which have programmed you in that way, so that you can be able to move to the next level. I think it's I'm referring to the brain chain, but this is a topic for another day. Over to you, Joseph. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mwangi. Taking stock of our environment, both externally, internally, and I think that that's a very strong comment, just to be able to help take stock of where we are and why we are where we are. Caroline Mohia, you can also make your comment, please. Caroline Mohia, I see your hand is raised. Joshua, I don't know if you also want to make a comment. I can see you have unmuted. Okay. Or anybody else who may want to make a contribution as we try to check. Caroline, I can see now you are unmuted. Please proceed.
Thank you once again. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
And thank you. Yes, and thank you for the rest of the members. Thank God that I've been able to log in. I missed you people last weekend. It was a very busy and hectic weekend, but I thank God that I'm well and alive and my family. So yes, I've been able to evaluate myself for those few minutes that I've signed in, and I'm able to categorize myself and see that where it's falling, or it's I find myself I'm more of a transforming person wherever I go, whatever I do. Please, I'm in, so glad, and be a minister and be a leader to those that Christ is bestowing on my way. So I thank you so much that this kind of lessons that make me reveal more of whom I am, the kind of a person I am, so that I may know what I've been called to do. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Carol. That's the goal of level 1, just to be able to reveal ourselves to ourselves. And that is the way that we are able to build more and tap more into the strength that God has deposited in us. Daniel Kimemia, you are saying there are many different ways of killing a cat, and this is the same applies to leadership, but you have to do it carefully. Yeah, so I think we can pause at that on the comments so that we move on to lesson 6, because it's more of a build-up on what we are discussing. And then towards the end, we'll be able to share more comments as we conclude. Otherwise, allow me just to invite Reverend Beth Waweru. Reverend Beth is an alumni of this program, Cohort 3. And she's one person who really challenged me because I could see her schedules, how tight they were. But she was able to stick through the entire session. That time we were having physical classes in town. It was a bit hectic, jam and all that, but she pulled through. And we have her today. She's also an author. I think she'll be able to mention the books that she has written and maybe the upcoming books. And also she's the country coordinator for what we refer to as Kingdom Generation Ministries in Deliverance Church. She's the national coordinator, among many other things that she does. And therefore, Reverend Beth, we are ready to be able to tap from your experience as you also take us through lesson 6. Karibu, Reverend.
Well, I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I would say good evening. I'm well, and I bless the name of the Lord for what he's done in my life and what he's doing. And thank you very much for all of you who have joined this class. It is a class that at the end of it all, you'll be saying that it has made a difference in my life. So I have this lesson right now, leaders versus managers. And I believe that at the end of this lesson, you'll know where you are in, whether you're a leader or a manager, but also, even as you know, it is good to know those people who are with you, the people you're working with, because most of you are in offices or even being in the ministry or wherever you are fallen. So God bless you. Even it's a short lesson, and I believe in a few minutes I'll be through. So leaders versus managers. And I usually say, please always remember, we think global, we lead local, and transform the world. As long as you're in this group. Now, there's those two rats, the mice. I don't know what you see that, and I'm wondering, what do you think about them? Just somebody, okay, first of all, maybe you studied. There's the mice there. The big jar, it's just there on top. It seems it's now this is the time it's starting to operate. The operation, kula kila kitu. Then this other one has just been minting the whole thing, and I'm wondering what's next. So in your mind, what are you seeing? Very fast, tafadhali. Somebody just tell me. You can just, no answer is wrong, I can assure you, because your worldview is not my worldview, it's not the other, so you can always give any answer. Just raise your hand, we'll see you. Remember, we are doing leaders versus managers. Hey, hello, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
You kept quiet. Oh, Maggie says one has a high appetite. Exactly. If it was millet, it is going so fast down. Yeah, you have that is one answer. That's an interesting one, a high appetite. Thank you, Maggie. The other one? Oh, someone else, sorry. I said there's no wrong answer. Wait, masaza yanasonga. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can try keep it short. There is one which, there is one which is sitting on top of a full jar. The other one is at the bottom. One possible explanation is that the one which is at the bottom may have started earlier, and the other one, given the given time, it can also be able to reach there. Possible it can be able to use what we call the Sarami principle in task accomplishment. It can also be able to do what the other has done. It can finish. But again, here we are seeing one which is at the bottom. I don't know how it's going to get out of that place when it is there. There are several questions that are unanswered. If it is, how did it, will it be able to, once it finishes, what next? How will it get out of that jar? Is another question. Over. Those are my, I'm throwing spanners to the team. They can be able to.
Okay. Can we get the last one? Thank you, Mr. Mangi.
Okay, my take is that I can say it is just the same rat on the bottle. It has started eating. It has ate everything until it is at the lower level. But now the question also comes again, how will it come out after it has finished what it has eaten from the bottle? So the reflection of leadership, we should not be selfish, in a way, but we should learn to share. That's what I can say at the moment.
Okay. I think there's a way, then as this one is just somewhere on top, and I'm wondering, aren't you taking, just like your friend is so busy eating, aren't you doing something, aren't you moving? And I'm seeing these mice is, one is a bit bright and wondering, okay, Bernard Mwangi to everyone, no focus of what? I didn't see that. I don't know that you want to say that there was no focus of where is, which will be his route out, or how will he get out of that bottle? Maybe that is what you wanted. I don't know. But as a leader, there is need to think before you act, or before you see something is so good on the way, even considering, some things are just, they're just there with you, holding on to them, and you're saying, this is mine. And sometimes you start working on it, either the manager or what, then without thinking what is ahead. Now, let's see the points that we have here. Think with the end in mind, the big picture thinking. It's like, fine, I'm on this jar, on top of this jar, and let's assume it is millet or whatever, or honey. Let's assume it was honey. And the mice is just there, busy eating. But did it think of what will happen much later? Remember, we are talking about, Paul Mboro says that the first one is a bit nervous. That's why maybe he's not doing anything. Exactly, maybe. So it's like you just don't jump into things before you think about the big picture. And also, somebody has written, risk management sometimes, Then number 2, be aware of short-term pleasures that can lead to long-term traps. You see this guy, these are like a small rat, this small rat just started doing the job, eating the honey and all that, not thinking, just going down there. And then what happens? Number 3, instant gratification versus delayed gratification. All you can see is not all there is. Critical thinking. You need to think before you start jumping, or you go to the music, or you go to the rhythm. Think twice. What we call the critical thinking. Then think beyond self. Healthy relationships are key. Somebody talked about being selfish, right? So think beyond self. It is not all about you. There's the other person, apokando. There is someone else out there. Don't just think about yourself. So we continue. Managers, and I believe this is in your manuals, managers versus leaders. You can see there are two people. There are the two guys, the manager with the blue, the leader with the red. But for sure, you can see they're coming from one point, but they seem to be going to different directions. So we are saying that there are key differences between a manager and a leader. And there are certain things here and there you will see as we continue with this lesson, that there are certain things that are so distinctive. They are quite different. Everybody seems, they seem to be going to making sure that there are things that they tie, but there are things that are contrary kabisa, they are not together. Managers are totally different than leaders. There are a few things that we shall see much later as we continue. Okay. We have a diagram there, but before the diagram, there are some words there. Managers light a fire under people, but leaders light a fire in people. Okay, that's a quote by Austin. Managers light a fire under people. You know, a manager, just assume a manager, the boss, the CEO said, let me assume that there's this company. And the manager says there's a production that has to be done by tomorrow at 11. In the morning hours, not in the, no, of course not at night, at 11 in the morning. The manager will make sure that work. It doesn't matter whether these guys, let me not say 11, let's say at around 4 in the afternoon. The manager will make sure, we will light a fire under people to make sure whether they go for their tea at 10 o'clock or lunch or even the 4 o'clock tea. That's not the issue of the manager. Sometimes it can be very hard on them. So managers light a fire under people, but a leader lights a fire in people. There's a way that he will motivate. A leader will always motivate the people. Why? There is something that a leader does. For one, the manager may not share his vision. Get me right. So even as he's telling them to work and do whatever they're supposed to do, the leader will make sure he shares the vision. A leader will always share the vision. So he will make sure that even as I'm telling you to do this, this is our vision. This is our objective. And that is why I want this done at least up to even them, the people, the subordinates, the people, the guys who are working around him will see the emergency. Why? They have the vision, they have the missionaries, the mission statement, they have the objectives and all that. Then a leader sees a better future and is willing to pay the price to bring everything to reality. So a leader sees a better future because they are futuristic. They are futuristic. The leaders, they just don't see what is ahead, what is just around them. I remember when you were young, we were being told, don't see 1 inch like a fly. A leader will see beyond what is just around them, what is surrounding them. And that is why there's a diagram down there. You see, there's the work, all right? And then there are the workers there, and then the leader is the one who is leading. He's leading the work there, you can see. Okay? But the manager is behind. Then the work and the people are there going ahead with the wagon. But for the leader, he's the one leading the wagon, seconded by the people, because he motivates them, he inspires them, he works closely with them, even besides the work. I hope you can see this, that the manager is saying, twende kazi. He's not there with the people. But you see, a leader will move one person from one point. He will walk with them. If you were a cleaner with a leader, a cleaner can end up being a manager. Or let me call him a supervisor. When you have a good leader around you, why? They work closely with you. So management works in the systems. Leadership works on the system, according to Stephen Covey. Management works in the system to make sure that this work is done at this time. This is the production that has to be done, ABCD. But the leadership, with a leader, he works on the system. These guys who are working, he works with them and makes sure these people who are working here, they are right. I'm right behind you. I'm working with you. I'm around you. Twende pamoja. That's the leader. Okay, as we continue. The next clip, leadership. Leadership versus management, general major differences between a manager and a leader. Leadership and management are distinctive and complementary systems of action with unique functions and characteristics. What is distinctive? As in, they can be different. There's a way they can complement. There's a way they can come together, but leadership and management are distinctive and complementary systems of action with unique functions and characteristics. Number two, the challenge is to balance strong leadership and strong management to complement each other. Because these guys are working in the same organization, let's say. Somehow they've got to complement each other. But this one is a strong leader to make sure that this T-girl here doesn't stay as a T-girl forever. But he's there to see that he builds the people around them, as the diagram we've just seen. He works together with his people. He's there for the people who are working around him. Okay? So, but somehow they've got to complement. Both leadership and management involves communicating, problem solving, and decision making at different degrees. I think that is just direct, okay? Then a manager sees things as they are present, but a leader sees things as they should be. I think I'd say that they are futuristic. A manager sees things as they are now. What is the CEO saying? Where are we supposed to purchase? Where are we supposed to do these things? What time are the workers supposed to come? What are we supposed to do because the CEO said? The other managers have said this. There is competition. I want to climb this ladder from one point to another. But a leader sees things as they should be. That if we feel that there's a company that is actually, that can help us, the manager may say, no, this is the way we've always been doing things. But a leader sees things as they should be. He is futuristic. Number 5. First of all, we go to the diagram. General major differences between a manager and a leader. Management, and then leadership. Management, there are things that are obvious for them. Planning, organizing, staffing, coordinating, and controlling. Then for a leader, they influence, they motivate, okay? They inspire, they create, mentoring. Because They just don't want to see people just stagnant forever and forever and ever. So they influence, they motivate, they inspire people to move on, they create things, okay? And then mentorship. Now, things that they merge, they come together, where they come together is in communicating, problem solving, decision making. Yeah, so we go to the next. Leadership versus management, some outstanding distinctions of leadership and management by Joe Miller. Number one, management is generally seen to involve overseeing day-by-day operations, accomplishing goals and achieving objectives. That is the main thing of a manager. Overseeing day by day. Was cleaning done? Was the production done? Okay. They have a certain goals that we are supposed to produce 100 bags. The manager is there with the subordinates, with the people in the factory, wherever they are, making sure that our goals, what we set 100 bags. The manager is there on your case, making sure that they accomplish the goals. And then the objective have to be achieved. Number two, leadership spans a wider remit that includes defining a strategy and vision, influencing and inspiring others. Leadership spans, I hope you see the word, to span a wider remit that includes defining a strategy and vision. And they make sure that the leader will always make sure that they share the vision of the company. And they tell you why we are going to the next level, why we need to do A, B, C, D. Before we go to the X, Y, Z, then I need to inspire you. They will even make what we call team building and all that. That is there to influence, it is there to inspire, and it is there to motivate the workers. Then managers rely on positional authority, whereas leaders exercise interpersonal influence. What is positional authority? Hey, don't you know I'm the MD? Don't you know I'm the what? Personnel manager. Don't you know I am? The position is very key to them. I am here because, do you know who I am you're talking to? Do you know why you're doing this? Do you know who said this? Positional authority. Whereas leaders exercise interpersonal influence, such that even if he is the MD, if he is a leader, he has the interpersonal influence. They relate well. They interrelate so well with the people around them. He will make sure he sees the strengths and the weaknesses of the people they are working with. Okay? And they want to see them moving to another level, moving from one level to another. That is a leader. But managers are inclined to control. And I'm looking for the word control, if you would define it. The function of management, which helps to seek planned results from the subordinates. Planned results. They control. Managers are inclined to control. There's a result that has to be there. Well, leaders inspire trust. They trust the people around them. That if we say it, yeah, Joshua has said, especially in Africa, okay, fine, thank you. Managers are inclined to control, while leaders inspire trust. Okay. And that one, I guess, is when you talk of control and inspire trust, it's just the opposite of the other. Managers focus on execution, while leaders focus on developing and empowering others. I think I'd say that earlier. Managers focus on execution, that this has to be done. This is the direction we are going. This has to be done today, not tomorrow. Well, leaders focus on developing and empowering others. If you are a tea girl, you end up becoming, with time, They'll give you time even for evening classes. They'll give you time for you are the messenger. You end up going for evening classes to be an accountant. You go for an evening class to do something, whatever. So managers roll out tasks while leaders share a vision that is motivating and meaningful. I think I'd say that is number 6. Next, managers administer while leaders innovate. What is to administer? To make sure that things are being done in a particular way, making sure that they are responsible for running of the business. They feel they are responsible. They administer while leaders innovate. They even create things which were not there. And I think it's also in number 8. Managers replicate. They keep on repeating again and again. There's nothing new. But while a leader will create, they will ensure there's something new coming up every other time. Okay, something that has not been there, and people wonder, hey, now this leader here or this manager here, it's because he's a leader by nature, and they realize, yes, they create things which they've never even been seen before. Then managers focuses on systems and procedures, while leaders focus on people. Managers focuses on systems and procedures. This is the way it is. This is the way we found it. This is the way it, yes, all through. And it doesn't matter what you see. It doesn't matter what you think. This is the way. But the leaders will always focus on people because they are people. What I would call them people. Okay, managers relies on controls. Number 10, again, I think that's a kind of a repetition. Managers relies on controls while leaders inspire trust. Then managers have a short-range view while leaders focus on a long-range perspective because the manager is now, okay? The managers, because they are there to administer, to replicate, they focus on systems. So they are short-range view. I think we had talked about that earlier. While leaders focus on a long, because they share the vision, remember, they share our objective, they share the mission statement. So they have the long range perspective. Then managers accept, maintain the status quo, while leaders challenge the status quo. You will see a leader even doing an odd job. He will serve the people. A good example, even Jesus himself at one point, even washed the feet of his disciples. They were wondering, excuse me, what are you doing? So managers accept, maintain the status quo. They I'm sorry, it seems I've gone off. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you well,
Chairman?
Reverend.
Yes.
I don't know what happened. I went off. Maybe the network,
Yeah,
maybe
now
the
we can
Wi-Fi,
hear
I don't know. Okay, sawa basi. Okay, number 12. We were just in number 12. Managers accept, maintain the status quo while leaders challenge the status quo. Then managers do things right while leaders do the right thing. Managers, they do the right thing. How is the right thing now? The right thing is, I came to this company and we were buying things at the ABC. And we remain buying things at the ABC. While the leaders will challenge and do the right thing. Fine, we've been doing the ABC. The company has been ABC. But what about XYZ? It has better products. We can do it better. So that's why we are saying managers do the right thing, while leaders do the right thing. Because remember, they always challenge the status quo. And then they see things which are ahead. Since they know the vision, they know the mission statement well, they know the objective, then they know what is it that we need at this particular time. They will do the right thing. Not just doing the things right, but do the right thing that will progress the company. Then there's a diagram there. Leading, managing, leadership, management. And I think this is all in your manual, and maybe you can read it through because there's a lot there. And maybe I can just allow me just to read them through very fast because after all, you have them. Okay, vision and strategy, creating value, influence, and inspiration. The leaders have followers, leading people. They are people focused. You remember I said people, yeah. People focused, charismatic style, risk and change seekers, and it continues. Then for the managing, policies and procedures, counting value, power, and control, then you can continue reading. That's in your manuals. But where do they come together? Accomplish a goal, explain vision, organization, figureheads, motivate others, mobilize resources. Then we go to the next diagram there, leadership versus management. Okay, focus on goals, sell it, take risks. The managers will never take a risk, by the way. They don't. Hawataki kazi nyingi. They just do what is necessary. Yeah, on this other side, you see, they minimize risks. Go against the grain, go with flow. They motivate, the manager will approve, break the rules. This one will follow the rules. The manager will follow the rules, inspire trust, expect control, foster ideas, then accomplish a goal, mobilize resources, and explain the vision. Go to the next slide. This is kind of more of a repetition, so we just need to go back, but maybe I can the leader and the manager. This is just a summary. The first one, I can just say the first three and then you read through. Change, the leader, change, leading people, long-term vision, personal charisma. And then the manager, stability, managing work, short-term objectives. Then this other side, the managers versus leaders, the manager, leaders, then focus on things. Then the leader will focus on people, do things right, do the right thing. They plan, they inspire, the leader will inspire. The manager will organize, while the other one will influence. The managers will direct, the leaders will motivate. The managers will control, while these others build, then they follow rules, and then shape entities. The leader. What is to shape entity, by the way? What is an entity? I think it's good we get the right definition for it. Somebody tell us, what is to shape entity? Tusiwe tunasoma tu tunaenda through and then maybe you didn't get it. Somebody tell us, what is to shape entity? I think there was a word like that in physics once upon a time. Entity. What is to shape entity? Shape entities. Maybe I can, I'd seen like chairman wanted to talk. But let me say that it's something that already exists. A apart from other things, having its own independent existence. You shape entity, something, it is there, but you kinda start reshaping it, bringing it out again. Okay. I hope I'm clear.
Yeah, there is a contribution from Samuel Mwangi. He's raised his hand.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't see.
Thank you, Reverend. I just wanted to chip in and say that an entity can be defined as an institution that is existing. It is inanimate. That means it's not living.
Yes.
It has a life of its own. It could be an institution that is.
Yes.
It has its own life of its own, different from those who are learning it or owning it. It could be a bank.
Yes.
It could be a school. A business which is legally constituted as per the existing rules, regulations of the country where it is existing. Even a country could be defined to as such. Over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Having its own independent existence, right? I hope everybody had that.
Own. Yeah, it can own.
A life on its own. It's independent. Equal candle. Yes.
Yes. It can own property. It can sue. It can be sued in law.
Yes.
In short, it has a life of its own. Although it may not be animate, that it's not living.
Exactly. Thank you. We continue as we are winding up now. There is, okay, there's something that is not clear here. Identify qualities you commit to improve. This is a leadership challenge, right? Identify qualities you commit to improve on management and leadership. Now, this is at your time. And as our tradition goes, even as we are winding up, I know that there are two things that when you can write, one thing or two, that you can write even as you do the challenge. There, the table is there, the leadership, management, identify qualities you commit to improve. Let them not be less than two. Sometimes you can scribble, make sure at least one indicate two or three, or if not all. If you write many, the better. But at least do something about it. Identify qualities you commit to improve. Remember, commit to improve on management and leadership. Every time I have this, I tell God, help me. There are some things I feel they are my weaknesses here, or there are things I feel I need to rectify. There are things I need to change. There are things that I need maybe to be empowered on. Yeah, so identify qualities you commit to improve on management and leadership. So God bless you. Remember, we are the people who think global. We lead local and we transform the world. So God bless you all and have a good time. It's 9:30.
Wow, thank you so much, Reverend. You can appreciate Reverend in style. Yeah, so as we
thank you, God bless you.
Yeah, thank you too. Yeah, we appreciate for bringing that topic in that perspective. And I think one thing that she has emphasized is that these two are complementary. They are distinctive but complementary, because a why will always need a how. And I think this is also a comment that I've seen from Joshua. So these are complementary, but in terms of awareness, it's very important just to know, probably now, most of you maybe have scanned through yourself, you've scanned through your organization, and maybe now you can be able to tell who are you having? Are you having more leaders or more managers where you are? And I think to secure the future, and this is the reason why this masterclass, among the other reasons it is started, because we need to populate, we need to grow more leaders in our environment. We need to grow more leaders in our workplaces, in our work environment, in our homes, in our countries, because that is how we're able to secure the posterity of a nation or even of a people. But very important is just to emphasize that they are complementary. They might be different. They might cross, they might cut across in some areas, but leaders, it's critical that we are able to develop more leaders where we are. Maybe just think about it. Where you are, do you have more leaders or more managers? Do you have more leaders or more managers where you are, where you're working at your workplace? Following the qualities that we have shared, some of the characteristics that we have shared, do you have more leaders or do you have more managers? These are some of the statistics that have also been posted in different areas by different articles. Even with the structures also tend to create a slim space for leaders. But again, this is critical for us to be able, looking at the qualities that we have shared, then we need to carry on with this kind of discussion. Obinja, you are saying you have more managers. Joshua, you are saying are politicians leaders or managers? Daniel, you are saying they are both essential in any successful entities. Kimemia, you are saying we also need to analyze their motivation. Yeah. So these are kind of discussions, and maybe Mr. Samuel Monk, you'll mention something as we close on what Joshua has mentioned. Politicians, leaders, or managers. You can mention something on that as we close. But I remember, complementary, a why will always need a how, because a why will tend to look far ahead, but a how will try now to be able to create probably a roadmap towards that destination. There's a leader here called Simon Sinek. He said that customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. Customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. And this is the thinking of a leader. That's why the heart of a leader is more on the people, because he knows that for me to transform this organization, then I need to transform the people. I remember in one of the classes we asked how many of the participants have been equipped on areas of leadership at their workplace, and the percentage was really low. And that poses a question: how do we sustain this organization? How do we intend to translate in terms of probably of longevity of the organization, and also in terms of revenue and many other aspects? It comes from what Simon Sinek said, that until the employees love the company, until the employee are part and parcel of the company, then it becomes a challenge in terms of sustaining that organization, and also in terms of even growing in terms of the bottom line. So the ratio of leaders and managers is a concern, and to secure the future, leaders are critical. To secure the leader at the future, leaders are critical, because they'll be able to forecast and help us to be able to align ourselves in terms of the long-term vision. Daniel Kimemia, I wish our politicians can take this course as a requirement for their nomination in the next general election. I like that. Thank you so much, Daniel. So in closure, as we close, leaders, and thank you for the comments. Thank you for the engagement. And just request Mr. Mwangi just to make a comment, and then we'll just be able to share the words of grace together as we come to a close.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph, for that wonderful presentation, and Reverend has also taken us through that. Maybe my assignment with respect to politicians. You know, all of us us have had our experience with the politicians. And essentially, when you look at the politicians, their prime objective is to influence. They want to influence people to think in a certain way. And whatever efforts they put in is basically so that their followers, or those who would elect them, would change their mind so that they'll be able to start thinking in a certain way. And that's why you find the politicians, they spend a lot of resources because their idea is to influence. Once you put them in a position of responsibility, the driving force is how they can be able to influence you to behave or to think in a certain manner, irrespective of their ability to be able to manage resources, because the aspect of risk and skills are necessary. And maybe that is why we find one of us saying that the politicians should be able to go through this course. The fact that some of them are in position of responsibility does not make them leaders. You can be in a position of responsibility, but you don't have the requisite skills to be able to carry out the leadership role. It's very, very important because we've been told exactly what are some of those traits. Who is a leader? If you reflect back, you'll find that leaders are coaches, but I doubt how many of these politicians are coaches. I'm not sure how many of them are may be able to do what we call, some of them may be having a vision, but what kind of vision is it? That is the other thing we need to look at. And you have seen it happening in quite a number of countries. Somebody may present himself as a leader, but there are underlying reason why their value systems, which I think has also been mentioned earlier, their value systems may end up destroying instead of breeding. So the kind of change we are talking about is very important. And I think that is why this course is actually very, very critical. Where do you want to take your people? What is the driving force? So if you're able to get the politicians, get some leadership trainers to influence, and maybe that's why you are going through this course, so that you can influence globally in a small way. You can be able to start influencing so that even as we elect representatives, we elect people who have the right credentials to be able to influence our world positively. That's what I want to comment for now, because there is a lot. But the fact that they are politicians and they're in positions of responsibility does not make them leaders, unless they're able to display the qualities that has been described in today's session. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Mwangi. Remember the iceberg? We said at the peak, we have skills, knowledge, and experience, but at the bottom, and that is what really defines a holistic leaders. Some of the issues that we mentioned, the values, even the intention and the motivation for leadership. And I think in terms of casting a vision, that's critical because those are some of the aspects that we look later on when we'll be trying to analyze what we are saying, redefining leadership. So we'll be able to look at some of the elements that critically define a leader. And then throughout, we'll be able to look at ourselves and also look at the leaders around us and be able to see, are they really leaders in terms of the qualities that we're going to discuss. But I don't want to add anything more on what Mr. Mwangi has shared. I think that has come out quite clear. There are other comments on the chat. Maybe we can just read through because they are more self-explanatory. Mr. Paul Mboru, you're saying, why do we have strikes in organization, lack of leaders? I guess that is one of the key areas, because you remember that diagram. A leader will have the people at heart, and a leader will have people close to them. But if you fail to have a leader in place, then you realize you have people maybe who will have work close to their hearts, and people are kept a distance away. And that can be a challenge in terms of leading an organization. So remember this, the quote that I've shared as we conclude, what Simon Sinek says. He says that customers will never love a company until employees love it first. And therefore, if we are to transform our organization, then it starts with internal transformation, and that will be able to replicate on our external outlook and also the external environment. Otherwise, leader, we appreciate even for the discussions that we have had tonight. Let's keep up with this kind of discussion even during the week as you undertake your own personal awareness. I will share a link that will help us to undertake our own personal analysis, and then we'll see results, and we'll discuss those results next week on Saturday based on the reflection of what will come out and also your own personal reflection. I'll also share the link for the self-evaluation. Let's keep on sharing, because that provides a platform to be able to reflect on what we are discussing in class. Otherwise, we want to pause there for tonight. Just want to say thank you and have a blessed night. Kindly let's unmute and be able to share the words of grace together as we come to a close. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forever.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, leaders, and have a blessed night.